Does having unrelated pages to my niche hurt my homepage ranking?
No.
I think he's talking about having content on his site that's
Oh,
unrelated to his niche.
so it's not, but it's also, maybe not helping narrow in the scope of what your website is about, right? So all of a sudden you're geared more towards being kind of general. However, it kind of depends on what you're using this content for too. But let's say hypothetical, it's a affiliate site, it's very niche down, and now you're just thinking,
So let's say
I've
it's an
got
affiliate
access
site
to,
and everything's about small dogs.
yeah, okay. And then hypothetical, you've got,
An article about
I don't know,
pianos.
yeah, you could always tie it in, right?
Best
The
pianos for
dog that,
small dogs.
yeah, like, I mean, for your circus or whatever. So there's always ways to tie in. Maybe you've got a bunch of old content from an old website that you broke down, and you want to repurpose the content. Try and tie in as much relevance, even if the relevance is just like a paragraph that kind of relates somehow. You could use that page as, content that's just kind of off. It's not used for ranking, and it's just used for interpage linking. With a lot of websites that I've had that had lots of inner pages that were very powerful, I would essentially just create a sort of BS hub page unless it was something I want to rank for. But, a lot of like, especially academic type backlinks that you would find would be on inner pages to some thesis or some random thing, right? And so it's not repurposable, say for like a SERP thing. And I wouldn't want to 301 it, but I'll use it as a hub page that's I don't expect anybody to find it, etc. But I'm doing a lot of interlinking to pages that I do want to rank, right? And that's going to help crawlers go through there and kind of analyze what the most important pages are on that site based off what a powerful page says. So there's ways to tie the room together differently. But if you're asking this question, I'm going to say you're probably looking at it from, well, I need to add content every week or whatever. Try and tie the room together to make it as niche specific as possible, which maybe means you've got to add content or spin the article to be about something like, dog toys or whatever we said. Um, but overall, if you're ordering new content or writing new content to a site, try and make it as niche specific as possible. The only reason I could see that you're doing this is because you have access to content that is just unrelated, which would mean that you can just, spin the narrative to be more about whatever. And even though it wouldn't make sense to a consumer, you're not adding this content in your menu or anything like that, right? Like it's off just in your sitemap somewhere existing. And that means it still gets crawled. It still has some sort of value, but you can use it at the very least to do interpage linking, right?
What I think the best way to answer this would probably just be like, can what you're doing make sense for somebody else to do? Like does what you're doing, would it happen naturally in the real world? If someone else has a site like yours, would it be natural for them to add whatever kind of content that you're adding to the site is? If the answer to that is no, then I probably wouldn't do it. If the answer to that is yes, then you can do it. So like, yeah, if you got a website, it's about dog toys, and then for some reason you have this article about a cat playing a piano or something. I don't know. Maybe it's just some kind of flavorful, funny article that had to do with pets, kind of. And
Mm-hmm.
and it's just an article. It's just one every now and then that it's just not really related to dog toys or whatever. Then yeah, it's probably fine. But in general, you websites that are about a specific topic, they generally just have content about that specific topic. And as long as you're not adding like an extreme amount of content that's unrelated, I don't really see it being a big problem.
Yeah, it's
Um,
probably not going to hurt your site in the
yeah,
sense that what it can do is if you've got more content that's about a different niche than what you're trying to rank for with your money pages, it's diluting what your website is about, right? So it's making it
yeah,
more confusing to Google, and so you're going to get less traction where you want to get the traction. So, it can be counterintuitive to what you're trying to do. But
Yeah, at
again,
the end of the day, you don't want to confuse Google.
yeah. Yeah, hard to say given that we don't know the specifics of why you're doing this, but yeah, overall, I think we answered the question.
Yeah,
Try and keep it niche.
yeah, just ask yourself, is it natural or not? Does it make sense at all for this to be on my site or not? If it makes sense for it to be on your site from a business perspective, maybe it's something you want to show your clients or whatever, then absolutely put it on your site. But if it has no reason to be there other than you wanting to put more content on your site and it's just completely unrelated at all, and you don't really have a way to tie it in, I'd probably stay away from it. It just doesn't make sense. Like, if you walk into a store and the store is selling, I don't know, video games, and then they say, well, hey, we've also got this this fresh watermelon here. Do you want to buy that? It's just kind of weird, right? And it's gonna confuse your customers as to why there's a person in your store trying to sell them a watermelon. They came to look at video games.
Not to say that you couldn't get a sale. It's just it's sort of awkward.
And you don't want to confuse the moderator Google. Here. You don't want to confuse Google and be like, well, why are they selling watermelon?
Google is a robot, right? Like, it's going, watermelons are to video games as, whatever. Don't confuse the robot. For as complex and intuitive as Google's robot is, it's still just a robot that has to think on, does this make sense based on data, or does this not make sense?
Hey everybody, thanks for watching. Be sure to check the description below for links to our blog for more info on this topic, along with a bunch of other cool stuff like case studies, our Facebook community, and our link building services. And like always, remember to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell if you enjoyed the video. Thanks and happy ranking.